This conference will now be recorded.
Commissioner Eastman?
Here.
Commissioner Ginger?
Here.
Commissioner Warren?
Here.
Commissioner Welch?
Here.
Mayor Rogers?
Here. All those wishing to participate in the prayer and pledge allegiance, please stand.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, before we begin our meeting, let us take a moment to thank the Lord for this opportunity to be here, working together towards the common goal of enriching our community and all who lives here. Let us pray, Lord. We praise you and ask you to guide us in this meeting that we may be united in the spirit of mutual respect and in the healthy exchange of our ideas. Help us to work towards the good of all of our community. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, we do not.
I will substitute out the proclamation for National Foster Care Month, and we'll do that another month, and we'll add the Public Service Recognition Week instead. Any more? Motion to approve the addition of the proclamation or substitution of the proclamation.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
With the addition.
With the addition. All those in favor of the approval of the agenda with that substitution, say aye. Aye. All opposed? At this time, we do have a few proclamations, and we decided we'd spread them all out just so you don't hear me read for 20 minutes. Keep you guys awake. The first one is the Public Service Recognition Week. Whereas Americans are served every single day by public servants at the federal, state, county, and city levels, and these essential workers and unsung heroes keep our nation functioning. And whereas public employees take not only jobs but oaths, and whereas many public servants, including military personnel, police officers, firefighters, border patrol officers, embassy employees, healthcare professionals, and others, risk their lives each day in service to the people of the United States and around the world, especially during this ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas these public services include teachers, doctors, scientists, train conductors, astronauts, nurses, safety inspectors, laborers, computer technicians, social workers, and countless other occupations that, day in and day out, provide the diverse services demanded by the American people of their government with both efficiency and integrity. And whereas without these dedicated public servants at every level, continuity would be impossible in a representative democracy that regularly changes its leaders and elected officials. Now, therefore, I, Scott Rogers, Mayor of the City of Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the week of May 2nd through 8th, 2021 as Public Service Recognition Week in Kansas City, Kansas, and encourage all citizens to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of government employees at all levels, federal, state, county, and city. So I do see we have some police officers here tonight and Mike, so you guys want to come up and accept the award for National Public Service Week?
When you read yours, I think we need to try and read it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we
You
get,
guys.
we get in the picture. Can't we?
Thank you to all those who do work for our city, county, state level. So you guys are very important and do a great job. So thank you. Next up is the National Music Week.
Whereas music plays an increasingly important role in our world today, and whereas music is one of the most sublime of human pursuits and is subscribed to by all races and creeds, and whereas music is a language of all peoples and is one of the greatest forces in creating peace and harmony, and whereas the National Federation of Music Clubs dedicated to encouraging young musicians, increasing musical knowledge, and advancing American music, and its cooperating organizations joined forces annually in May to direct attention to the dynamic influence of music in everyday living. Now, therefore, Scott Rogers, Mayor of the City of Arkansas City, does hereby proclaim May 2nd to the 9th, 2021 as National Music Week in Arkansas City, and asks that all citizens of this community observe and take part in activities recognizing the importance of music, musicians, and musical organizations to the cultural life of our state, nation, and world, and recognizing this year's theme, Music is a Storyteller.
Do we have anyone here? There.
Scott? You can do it.
Oh, I'll really take it. How are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you. National or Day of Prayer.
Whereas the National Day of Prayer is a tradition first proclaimed by the Continental Congress in 1775, and whereas the United States Congress by a joint resolution on April 17, 1952, provided that the president shall set aside the proclaim a suitable day and each day other than a Sunday as a national day of prayer on which people of the United States may turn to God in prayer and in meditation. And whereas in 1988, legislation setting aside the first Thursday of May in each year as a National Day of Prayer was passed unanimously by both houses of the United States and signed by President Ronald Reagan. And whereas the National Day of Prayer is opportunity for all Americans to join in the united prayer to acknowledge the dependence of God, give thanks for the blessings received, requesting heal for the wounds, endure, and ask God to guide our leaders and bring them wholeness to the United States and its citizens, especially during this time of the coronavirus pandemic. And whereas it's fitting and proper to give thanks to God by observing the day of prayer in the city of Arkansas City, and when all may acknowledge our blessings and express gratitude for them while recognizing our independence on God for our continued blessings and guidance. Now, therefore, I, Scott Rogers, Mayor of the City of Arkansas City, do hereby proclaim Thursday, May the 6th, 2021 as a day of prayer in the United States. Encourage all citizens of the City of Arkansas City to observe this day in the ways appropriate to its importance and significance.
Now Charles and some others are here.
Let's let Tim have the proclamation here. Tim is our coordinator this year for National Day of Prayer, so we'll let him do that part.
And do you guys have anything to say? I think Thursday is the National Day of Prayer. And in Wilson Park in Newton. Yes, sir. Community is welcome. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Charles. Next up is National Nurses Week and National Hospital Week.
Go ahead.
Come on up.
No, go ahead.
There we go. Thanks, thank you.
They can take our foot in the door. It doesn't work very well.
I need to get a taste of it.
Thank you, thank you.
You know,
Last but not least, Karen.
Okay, whereas Congress and the President of the United States of America have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which May 15 falls as National Police Week. And whereas members of the Kansas City Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of our city, especially during this ongoing coronavirus pandemic. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, protecting citizens against violence or disorder, and protecting the innocent against deception, and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And whereas the Kansas City Police Department has grown to be a modern, scientific, community-focused law enforcement agency that continually provides an essential and vital public service. Now therefore, Scott Rogers, Mayor of the City of Kansas City, Kansas, calls upon all citizens of Kansas City to observe the week of May 9th to the 15th, 2021 as National Police Week. In Kansas City, with appropriate ceremonies in which all of our people may join in commemorating police officers, past and present, who by their faithful and royal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and doing so have established for themselves an enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. Further call upon all citizens of Kansas City to observe Saturday, May 15th, 2021 as Peace Officers Memorial Day, in honor of those law enforcement officers who through their courageous deeds have lost their lives or became disabled in the performance of their duty.
They're supposed to stick, they must up on that, that's fine. But I do know there also is going to have Pop in the Park this Saturday, May 15th with the police and fire officers, or firemen. So they must have snuck out after the first proclamation, so. Thanks. Thanks, Karen. Next up, we have recognition of visitors. I don't see any that aren't here for other items on the agenda. Comments from anyone in the audience with regards to items not on the agenda? Seeing none, consent agenda will be to approve the April 20th, 2021 regular minutes as written and receive and file the 2020 audit by Gordon CPA LLC.
I so move we approve the consent agenda.
I second it.
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor with the approval of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. There is no old business, new business.
Item 1, consider a resolution authorizing the city to enter into a Master Equity Lease Agreement with Enterprise FM Trust of Delaware for the lease, use, surrender, maintenance, selection, and inspection of city vehicles, as well as authorizing the city to enter into both a maintenance management and fleet rental agreement and a maintenance agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management of Missouri for vehicle repairs and service.
So, yeah, we visited at a work session here recently about the fleet management program through Enterprise. And like as you directed, we have the agreement between the Enterprise and the city. And so we just wanted you to consider that. And
I have a question. Jennifer, our accountant, kind of put together for 28 months on our cost of her expenses on our vehicles and stuff. And she broke it down, divided that, it was 436,000 over 28 months, and it's like 15,572 a month on the cost of repairs or equipment stuff. by going with you, we would save quite a bit of that, I mean, per month, wouldn't we?
Certainly, and I don't know the numbers off the top of my head that she put together there.
Well, it's parts and,
Certainly.
it didn't include gas or nothing like that. It was just pure cost of keeping our equipment up, going.
Yeah, absolutely. There's both a savings on the vehicle side and the operational structure.
And that's what she was saying when we had you come down, that's certainly for each month. We can't figure out, we can't program in because it just happens when it happens, type thing. And that's a hidden cost. It haunts us every month,
This is more a fixed cost.
Yeah, right. More fixed cost.
Yep, and we can fix the maintenance costs as well.
Okay.
So the actual cost to the city will be per year.
At what point?
Well, you've got down here 103,165 as purchase for vehicles. And then the rest of it,
Yeah, so the lease expense column that you're looking at, that's the true cash outlay for 12 months. As you can imagine, the vehicles are going to land at different times throughout the year. So it's really hard to predict the exact cost.
you can speak up. I can't hear.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. I just have to speak up.
Speak up.
Yeah.
We can fix that if you get this contract.
So the cash outlay is going to come back at different times. So the vehicles are going to land all different times throughout the year. As you can imagine, a Chevy Traverse is going to look different than an F-150, right? As well as the order dates and the lead times that are behind them, especially with the market that we are in and the industry that we're in right now with COVID, very different lead times than traditional patterns. So the vehicles land all throughout the year, but at the end of the day, the equity is going to come back from the vehicle that it's replacing up front. You'll have 12 months of payments, and then you'll get the equity back for, if it's a 1-year model, you'll get that equity back at the end.
Well, that's what I'm asking. What is that payments for 12 months?
The lease expense column on that yearly analysis is the estimated annual cash outlay, and that's for 12 months.
And what is it figured for Lulu's?
What is, I'm looking at this and I see 103,000 as purchase. Then I'm seeing 97,000 maintenance, 90,000 fuel on this graph.
Up on the screen.
So that
So
line item that you're looking at is what the city has estimated historically and what you have done in the past. The $109,000 is the cash outlay or the budget that you would need for the 12 months, not considering any equity for the first year for the initial 16 years.
okay, so that's what I want to know. That's 103. Is that correct?
9. And
You're looking at the average is 103, but 2021, it's 109, and then it
I
changes.
see the purchase first, and then I see the lease at 109.
yeah, so the purchase expenses historically what the city has done up to this point
Okay,
for those 3.2 vehicles or 3 vehicles per year. The first year, 2021 lease expense is for the first 12 months cash outlay. And that's on an annual basis there for those 16 vehicles.
okay, that's 109.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that includes what?
The vehicle itself.
That
For 12.
doesn't include maintenance and fuel, right?
Correct. The maintenance and fuel will be broken out on the right-hand side there.
As in 67 and 84?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And if we look at this from a fiscal year in a perfect world, if we delivered those 16 vehicles on the first day of the first month of your fiscal year, we would get approximately $70,000 back out of the equity from those 16 vehicles up front, sometime in that time frame. Then we'd have 12 monthly payments waiting to 109,000. And then at the end of the 12 months, we would sell a segment of those 16 and get the $65,000 back. So there would be essentially a profit for year 1.
You might say again, what cities are doing this right now?
So the city of Lenexa, city of Valley Center, Kansas, Unified Government, Shawnee County, Geary County. There's many others that we can name. Hayesville School District, Goddard School District right down the road. And again, we mentioned this through the work session, but one key piece to this analysis is we're estimating that this is a very conservative model. And through the management and us coming out and meeting with you on a regular basis and analyzing the trends in the market, our goal is to beat this analysis. And quite frankly, we really feel that we will. And in addition to that, it's not going to be, this model will likely change over the years, right? And we're going to get more aggressive in certain years. We're going to get less aggressive in others. And we're always going to help you make the right decisions through the management and through the data that we bring. So the concept, the numbers, there's a lot of numbers on here. And the concept and the philosophy is that there's a significant savings through implementing the model. And then through our structure, we're going to come in and continuously make this better and continue to help the city save money.
Well, I know Canyon asked the question to all our department heads when we had you down on our workstation and asked each one of them what they thought about it. And they all agreed that it'd take a lot of pressure off of them. And also Jennifer, because like you said, it's a cost that we can't, control. I mean, we just don't know what it is. And that being said, I think I'll make a motion. We consider the resolution authorizing the city of Arkansas City to enter into a Master Equity Lease Agreement and by between the Enterprise F&M Trust of Delaware and the city of Arkansas City for the lease, use, surrender, maintenance, and selection and inspection of the city vehicles, as well as authorizing the city of Arkansas City to enter both a maintenance management fleet rental agreement and maintenance agreement by and between the Enterprise Fleet Management Incorporated of Missouri and the city of Arkansas City for the vehicle repairs and services.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, it's a voice vote, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice work.
Thanks for explaining that. That's why I got into that, to make sure that it was clear for
Understood.
not only us, but everybody else that's out there.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Under new business,
Hold a public hearing regarding the housing assessment tool for the city of Arkansas City.
we'll probably need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor of opening the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? At this time, I don't think we're really, city has much to say. I think we're here just to hear the ideas from you guys. So, go ahead, Mr. Seibert. And Andrew or Randy, if you guys have anything to add, let me know. I don't, so.
Jim Seibert, 1816 East Chestnut in Ark City. 73 years old, lived here all my life. Been in real estate since I was 17 years old. I have fought this fight for what has to be about 60 years now of the housing problem in Arkansas City, Kansas. It's been that long. We've discussed it. We've thrown ideas at it. We've sent out questionnaires to the public. I went through this questionnaire and answered basically yes to about every question on it. Yes, it causes me problems to hire employees. Yes, it's hard to get employees to live in Ark City. Out of my 23 employees, 4 of us live in Ark City, Kansas, and that includes my son and I. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. He just moved in part. 3 of us live in Ark City. My own son doesn't live here. This is a major problem, bigger through the years. Everything's gone up in price. Every bit of the money that needs to be spent to improve the city has to come from somebody, basically taxpayers. Basically with your graces or your decisions being made to improve the city falls back on all of us as taxpayers. So these questions have to be answered very carefully and not with a automatic yes type of assessment tool. That's the wrong tool to start with. I'm going to start with right after I got off the commissions, you guys' seats. I decided to run for county commission. One of the things that I ran on was I'd like to see the county adopt the revitalization act. One of the best things the city of Arc City has done for housing has been the revitalization act. I believe we're on the second 10 years now of that act. And I believe I've been involved since the very first act was put together. It has been a tremendous help to those of us that want to invest in the community, invest in housing, and protect ourselves from the minute we improve a house, the taxes double or whatever. The problem is it's probably the most guarded secret. Suggestion number one to this commission that would cost very little is we need to get the word out how the Revitalization Act works, how the people that own houses can fix up their own house, improving the entire neighborhood, improving the values of the entire neighborhood, and get a tax break for doing it. I had many people when I ran for county commission ask, what revitalization mean? Is that another tax you're going to put on us? Is that another, they had no idea. In 20 years, the city of Arc City had the Revitalization Act. The first 10 years, I had 16 out of 30 of the houses that applied for revitalization with my name. That's how badly the word got out. As soon as the word got out a little better, there were a few other people like myself who thought, well, if Cyber can do it, we can damn sure do it. And they can. Anybody can. That's the guarded secret. Anybody can do it. But why aren't we telling them? Doesn't cost you much as a city. Put it on your program on TV, put it in the newspaper, put it wherever you can put it. Explain to people. Spend $5,000 on your home, on the exterior of your home, on major improvements to your home. You qualify for Revitalization Act. The assessor up at Winfield can't come down and raise your taxes. Explain it to them. It'll make sense and they'll improve all of us. Secondly, I think the city has done a poor job of getting ahead of the curve, including when I was on it. My term was only 4 months long. I think I still hold the record for the shortest term of commissioner. And I finished my term. I didn't get run over. But you folks are sitting here 2 and 3 term people and longer term. You've got some things to do to get ahead of the curve. 2 suggestions I'll make. First of all, the addition I call the Mad Eck addition out here on 8th Street. And I'm sorry, I can't think of the true name of it.
Forest Glen.
I'm sorry.
Forest Glen?
Yes, thank you. Forest Glen addition. When it was built, a man by the name of Eck from Wichita came down and said he'd built 25 houses and he bought the ground and put the road in. And with the city and AC Industries and a few other people in town's persuasion, we bent that road and headed north where it joined AC Industries ground with the idea that we would, if he was successful, take it out far enough to come back to 8th Street and make horseshoe shape out of that road. Well, I won't go into the politics of it, but the county or the city's building inspector and MADAC did not get along. Let's put it that way. And MADAC gave up on building in Arc City. And everybody in Arc City said, well, if he can't do it because he had all the tools to do it with and the money and the knowledge, it can't be done. That's wrong. We threw a lot of artificial obstacles in his place. We did not complete the addition. I'm standing here before you tonight to tell you that if we finished that road and brought it back the other way, there'd be 25 more houses today, right there in that addition. The addition did go over pretty well. The houses were a little higher priced maybe than what people liked, but that's part of the game. Today, we're looking at 2 and 3% interest, the lower interest rates I've seen in my 73 years. It is making housing going up tremendously in value and prices anyway. I don't know if the value's there, but the prices are going up. And sales are tremendous, just overnight sales. You list your house, you better be ready to move. They're selling if there's anything at all. We need to take advantage of that trend. We need those houses in Arc City, Kansas. In January, I had a house come vacant. I own several rental properties, as most of you know, and I had one come vacant. Probably the first vacant house I've had in 5 years. Normally, when one of my houses is going to become vacant, I get a call from somebody and said, say, I'd like to rent Mrs. So-and-so's house. Well, that's funny. She's still renting it. No, she's moving in about 2 weeks. I would find out from somebody else before I knew she was moving in. And I'd rent it. This particular house for a couple of reasons. People moved out and I decided I'd slick it up, clean it up and rent it. My son said, we're going to go on Cali First website. Help me with the name, the official name of it. And list my house when it was ready to rent. Put it on about 9 o'clock in the morning. By 10 o'clock, 4 phone lines at our office are locked up. We can't get out. We can't get anybody else get in. I ended up saying, look, let's change the ed a little bit. I'll have an open house Thursday night at 5 o'clock. We'll meet people there from 5 to 6. I'll throw it open. Anybody wants to come look at it. Because I don't have time to go out and meet all these people that are calling in. So I went out. I had 1,490 people look at that ad. 300 and some saved it. 69 families walked through that house between 5 and 6 o'clock. I was standing there handing out applications saying, folks, the house rents for $650 a month, the deposit $650. No pets, no whatever. If you're interested, fill out the app and leave it on the counter. 49 apps on the counter. Terry Folletti and I had talked several times while I was running for election and after, and even after this happened. Cali County, and I think it's still true today, Kerry, we've got about 1,800 jobs available. Is that?
I don't know, 1,800, but we definitely.
Help me, how many would it be? With all the different industries, rubber maids, packing plant, 1,200? I don't want to exaggerate to these people.
Well, no, I would say close to that 400, 500 type level.
I had talked with Tad yesterday, and I think they're looking for 360 by June.
Who?
Tad, Miranda, packing plant. They're looking for 360 by June. He has no hope of getting it open. But regardless, there's a tremendous need for jobs. Tad Miranda is busing 4 busloads of people a day down here to work from Wichita because he can't find a house. I've worked with their employment people, their PR, I'll get it right in a minute, human relations people. They'd like to see us buy a motel or something and put these people up in overnight type deals so they've got a place to live and work until they find a better place to live. I have no desire to be any part of that, I'll tell you right now, but it has brought up 2 or 3 solutions for the housing problem. I've identified in Cali County, I believe we need 600 new houses or housing units within a year. And I've made this up reading between the lines, talking to the different industries I work with, talking with Carrie and reading her. You have is that a 3-year-old plan I've got from you, 2018, I believe?
Oh, the housing assessment?
Yes, using that as a document. That plan is 3 years old. We haven't acted on hardly anything in that document, hardly anything. But getting back to where I am, 600 new housing units are needed in Cali County, Kansas. 200 to 300 of them need to be done here in Arkansas, Kansas. How are we going to fill that need? By thinking only, not suggesting it, not saying this is what we have to do, suggestion. We need to find somebody that will build another 100-unit apartment complex, like the 2 that we had built when the Creekstone first opened up. They have both run basically 100% occupied since the day they opened. We could fill another 100-unit apartment complex as immediately as they got done. I do not personally know anybody that is capable financially. That's a $3 to $5 million complex to build. I don't know anybody, so I can't offer any suggestions, but I believe city, through contacts, the city manager, whatever, could find us somebody that'd be interested in putting in a 100-unit apartment complex. Again, using Creekstone as my best source in our city. They do not want to guarantee rents, but if you rent to a Creekstone employee, they will do a payroll deduction where at the end of the month, they pay his rent. That's almost guaranteed rent to a landlord that sometimes has problems. They're willing to do that. They're willing to tell anybody that's willing to do something that they'll do that. But that 100-unit apartment complex is 100 immediate housing units, by immediate in the next 12 months. Secondly, and the most politically unpopular thing you can do, we need a manufactured housing development. Either a mobile home park or a mobile home subdivision is the 2 terms I use. They prefer manufactured housing. It could be at around 100 unit complex. Mobile home park or subdivision, either one. And the distinction is a mobile home subdivision, you own the mobile home and the ground under it. Otherwise, it looks pretty much like a mobile home park, if I can make a distinction. I'm not caring which one it is, but you could put in a 100 unit manufactured housing park with any use. Cost of it's about $1 million, about 10,000 units. You put in sewer, water, all the utilities, road, paved roads. If you do it first class, it's going to cost 10,000 units. I and 3 other people are looking at doing it. So far, we're looking outside city limits. I hate it. I really do. 90% of the property I own up until next month, and then it's going to change dramatically because of something I've done, but 90% of the property I own today is inside the city limits of Ark City. I pay 30% more property tax on that property because it's inside the city limits of Ark City. That's something we need to work on. Property taxes cannot drive the city. We're going to have to find some other revenues so we're more competitive with the Parker Fields and the just plain flat rural areas. People give up a lot. They don't realize it until they move out of the country, but they give up a lot when they move out of the country. But the reason for doing it is based on taxes, and I'd like to get that equalized, but that's a 3 to 5 year plan I don't want to go into. The next thing we need to do is figure out now, Country Club Estates, and I was a partner in it for years, as well as 20 other of the good business people in town. We lost our butts. We sold out. Steve English and some of his people took it over. They've had a little more success than we have, but that addition is 25, 30 years old. There's 3 houses going up there right now. They are in the quarter to $350,000, $400,000 range, which is great. And that's inside city limits. We did that before we put the addition in. We wanted it inside the city limits. We wanted the benefits of the city. Now let's move over to the other side of town. The Skyline Addition, can't think of the name of it now. Something Point. Compass Point, thank you. Compass Point has now been bought out by an entrepreneur that I just have to take my hat off to him. I won't mention him by name because I don't want to cause him any problems. He's taken it upon himself. He bought the entire addition, 50 lots. He's taken it upon himself, or has announced he's going to build the equivalent of 50 units out there over the next very short period. And I believe there's 5 or 6 right now under construction. That's permits been pulled on that many of them. So he's off and running, and I want to do anything we can to help him, support him. He's doing what we need. He's going to build what I'm going to call a $100,000 house. And that might be an insult to 120. I'm not trying to praise him. I'm saying it's a level that is very, very, very hard to build and make a profit at. And I build homes. I know what I'm talking about. He's going to have a hard time. He's going to rent his. He's going to make it the old fashioned way. He's going to rent those houses, lowering what he's got in them until they make a profit. A great way to do it. It's going to take a few years. But I'm all for it. But that addition is 50 lots. The 2 streets at the south end of the addition also enter onto AC Industries ground. And I've talked to some of the AC Industries. I am no longer associated. I'm no longer on the board of AC Industries. Let's put it that way. But I've talked to them. They're willing. They're able. They own about 100 acres in there right now. To extend those 2 streets a little further south and head them back to 8th Street, just like I'm talking about X, would take about 20 acres of their ground. They're willing to sell it. They're willing to participate to a degree in housing. And I think now is the time we need to do it. I don't know that the city has a tool to do it with. I know in the past we worked on setting up a housing authority for the city. Never got done. But we're going to have to create something like that so the city can step out and say, here's an addition that needs money spent on streets. Sure. The only reason that addition is there is federal grant. 90%, I believe, of the.
Well, Jim, that's not right. Let's just kind of stop right now in the sense that everything you said tonight, we're in the process of doing right now. I don't know if you paid attention on our workstation stuff. We've been talking about just about everything you said tonight. The only thing that we haven't talked about is the tax part of it. And I agree with you 100%. The property tax is way too high in Cali County and Arc City. But what we're trying to work on is trying to get more sales tax to offset property tax, where everybody, and we've been talking about this thing. We've been talking about all this housing and stuff. Compass Point out there, it cost us $1.2 million. We got a $600,000 grant, and then we forgave the other $600,000 for the guy that's building out there to build on. So, that's a big help to him. We also did a revitalization up to $250,000 for 9010. So that's going to help him
Throughout the community.
throughout the whole community, not just that.
That's the greatest thing we've done. Both.
Well, no, you're
critical.
talking a lot of negatives and stuff. But the point I'm getting at is, Jim, with our city manager, he's been at Mount Ridge for one of the fastest growing towns in Kansas. He's trying to bring all these resources, what he's done up there, what's been doing up there, down in our area. We understand we need to have apartments. We need to have every possible thing. We've been looking at those the trailer housing stuff. We've been talking about all this stuff for the last 30 to 60 days. So we're on top of this thing. I'm just saying it's going to take some time to get this thing pulled together. But the city, to me, is putting the skin in the game right now with that revitalization and so forth. And that's something the city needs to do to continue on housing. And I agree with you 100% that there hadn't been a lot of housing done in the last 40, 50 years because the city really not has put skin in the game. But now we're starting to. You're 100% right on all that stuff, but we are working towards that, Jimmy. And we're not overlooking what you said tonight because we're in the process of doing a lot of stuff, which you've already repeated, tonight. So I'm just...
We do have, if I remember correctly, Josh, we do have manufactured home zones, don't we, within the community? It was part of the comprehensive plan anyways, correct? And they have to just be built after like 1979 or whatever the HUTs, HUD standards,
And maybe, you brought up a point, maybe a housing, authority type, commission or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out here right now. But it's a serious problem, Jimmy, and I understand we got to get more housing. If we don't, we may lose the Creekstone down the road because as they continue to expand and they want to be one of the biggest packing houses in the world, we're going to have to find a lot of houses and stuff, but it's all important to us and we're not overlooking nothing. We're serious about what we're doing right now. So.
Well, Jay, if I've stepped on a nerve, I apologize.
No, it's not. I'm just telling you, you kind of browbeat us a little bit that we're not doing anything, but we're working with everybody.
No, I am aware. I'm aware we've done this for 40, 50, 60 years. We just can't seem to get over the hump. I'm trying to help. How do we help? I want to help.
Yeah.
I do not want to be against you or Jay or us here in saying.
Well, we all need to work.
It takes it all.
Yeah.
It takes all of us to do it. I read the paper and said they want to hear from the public some ideas. I'm throwing out ideas, not criticism.
Yeah.
One thing I've said has been meant to criticize anybody.
I can take it as criticism.
So I'm going to finish if I can, because I've got about 3 more items I want to touch on. And they are what they are. We have created codes that have been counterproductive to those of us trying to remodel existing homes. By my estimation, there's about 2,500 existing homes in our city that have been hampered by codes and restrictions that have not created a great deal of gain for the city. They were put in for reasons of safety, which I fully back, but they've been extended to create jobs for people outside the community, methods of getting more money out of the residents of our city for roofing houses, for doing about anything, siding, fencing, anything. We also have created license laws. In the last 15 years, we went from basically a 4 or 5 licenses in the community to I believe there's 25. The revenue to the city is negligible. I would guesstimate 20, 30,000 a year out of all the licenses that they buy in the city. I myself am a licensed contractor in Arc City, had one of the first contractor's licenses. You're looking at a man that by license, the city of Arc City will allow me to build a 5-story building in Arc City. You don't want me building a 5-story building in Arc City, but I got licensed to do it. $100 for it. A $100 license now is, I think, $300. The cost of that license to me is about $1,200 because of insurance and other things that I have to do to carry that license. These things are restrictive to the very people that I've used for years. These were part-time people that worked at Skyline or Total Petroleum or Rodeo Meats that on the side on weekends came in and did Formica countertops. Find me anybody can do Formica work anymore. Find me anybody. Can't do it. Not inside the city limits of Arc City. I think we need to look very strongly at our codes, zoning, and license laws to see how many of them are really effective in doing what we want to do and free up the people that want to remodel or re-improve their community. It does take all of us.
Jimmy, we got that, we got those meetings every month you can go to, the commission stuff.
Yeah, just like you, I could go to a meeting every night. You haven't seen me in 4 or 5 months because I'm trying to stay away from it. They are frustrating. I don't explain myself well enough because I find myself arguing with a friend of mine who says he sees the same thing the same way I do. Why are we arguing? Aren't we here to do the same thing? Are we here to improve the community? Aren't we here to make it a better place to live for the rest of our lives? I think we are.
Sure.
And I think you've done a good job. I'm not here to criticize you. I'm here to offer suggestions, which is what I've done. So I'll thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Tim.
What I think is important for the public to understand is the tax that's placed on your property is not done by this city commission. It is done by the county appraiser and then finalized by the county commission. And we don't get all of your property tax. So if you're paying $1,200 a year for property tax, the city is getting about 35% of that. So we're not getting all of that. And moving into the country, you still have the college, you still have USD 470, you still have the county. The only way to continue to provide the services that you have as citizens inside the city limits and for the areas that contract with us for additional services outside is to be here. And we're doing what we believe is the best and has the common sense approach to fixing problems. The Planning Commission is open to go and talk to them. They come up with a consensus and they present it to us. I appreciate all the people that put in time and energy to try and figure out a problem that's been there for a long time. So I thank you for that. But I want people to understand we're not reaping the tax property benefit and then just going out and doing all kinds of stuff with them. That's our fire department, that's our city personnel, that's our police department, that's our service department. Those are the numbers, like 70% is employees.
Yeah.
So of the 35%, when you make that whole, 70% of it is for your employees, your city employees that are providing the services. And so we're working hard too.
Well, thanks for bringing.
I do see the demand. I mean, you put your house on the market and it sells $100,000 more than it would have sold for 5 years ago. I mean, there is a demand for housing. And I do know that the contractors I spoke to, which is not as many as Jim knows or Carrie and other know in this community, they hear about a 90-10, they're ready to start building and finding something. So I think that alone has been a key piece of the puzzle, because you're right, you build a house and you're paying a lot of money on tax. If you can alleviate that over a 10-year span, it does make it a little bit better for someone building a house. So,
And we're trying to be contractor friendly, Jim. I know in the past that hadn't been the case, but I think it's eased a lot better than what it has in the last couple of years. And we're going to try to get better and better as we go forward. But some of the stuff she said, you're right, but we're looking at all this stuff right now. We're not, this housing thing is a big, thing for us right now. We're looking at every angle we can. And I know Randy's got a lot of contacts right now. He's working on stuff and trying to develop. Go ahead, Randy.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, it's really great to hear Jim's, take on, even though it may be things that we've already identified, but as we move through with this housing assessment, and also as we move with that to the HIAC, where we actually, visit with the interagency committees that do housing at the state level, having a number of people say the same thing over, is very important. That we, at least we know we're focusing in the right places for what we need to be working on. So yeah, it's great to have that input and hear what he has to say about issues that he's seeing and things that we need to improve on. So
I think we'll go move on here. I think one thing is with the housing, it's not just even neighborhood housing or houses within outside the city or outside downtown. I think part of it is also trying to figure out a way, can we get apartments, can we get living in downtown, which would maybe alleviate, if you have rentals somewhere, to alleviate the cost of those people who own those buildings downtown. So they have a little income coming in to afford the insurance. Is there a way to get people, they do live downtown, to maybe bring some of that downtown revitalization back? I mean, this housing isn't just for the neighborhoods or the new additions. It's for the community from downtown to Timberlane to Crestwood to Compass Point. It's everywhere. And so I think that the aspect isn't just a new house or a new apartment. I think it's trying to figure out, can we use what we have downtown or other areas of this community too? And that brings up a whole nother topic and ideas and thoughts. So, but I'll stop there and let the next person who has anything to say speak. That's it.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Here comes the money man.
Oh,
Well, you are.
my name's John Sturt. I live at 1313 North A Street in New York City, and I've been here my whole life. I really had no plans to speak today, but first I'd like to commend the commission on some of the recent decisions they've made. Expanding the revitalization program to encompass the whole city and go 90-10 on that, I think is huge. Every customer that I speak with about renovation project or a new housing construction, one of the first things I tell them about is, have they applied for the Revitalization Act? And like Jim said, a lot of them have never heard of it. But it's a real easy phone call, and it's a real easy application to complete. It doesn't cost much, and they get great benefit out of that. Housing in our city right now is a very complex issue. Mr. Seibert admitted that interest rates are at historic lows, which they are, but building costs are at historic highs. And that creates a lot of challenges for people, especially when the appraisal process hasn't quite caught up with the building cost. And so for someone to build a brand new facility, whether it's a single family home, a rental, or an apartment complex, it requires a lot of equity and a lot of capital. Because lenders traditionally will only finance a certain percentage of the appraised value. And right now what's happening is the appraised value is coming in less than the construction cost. And so unless they have a whole lot of extra cash to throw it, or extra equity to throw into this, it makes new construction extremely difficult, even with interest rates where they are. Mr. Mayor, I was pleased to hear you say something about using some of the square footage in the downtown area for housing. We have got tens of thousands of square feet of unused space in existing buildings downtown that's just vacant, that could easily be remodeled, I think, at a much cheaper cost than brand new construction. And I've had conversations with investors from out of town who have looked at buildings in the downtown area for mixed use properties, retail down below, residential up above. And, they ran into issues with cost and things like that, so they never came to fruition. But we've got a ton of square footage in the downtown area that I think could be remodeled and turned into living space at a whole lot more cost effectively than brand new construction. And that may be something that the commission wants to.
I think Gene Snell, he figured up one time measuring, I don't know how he did it, but he said it's over 650, almost 700,000 square feet of living space or, space we have downtown in Arc City. That's huge.
Yeah, I would totally believe it. And so, if you have, as you alluded, if you have people who are living in the downtown area, the business will follow.
That's right.
People will look for, restaurants in the downtown area, additional retail shopping, it's all going to kind of tie together. So again, I just, want to thank you for your efforts, and, there's not an easy solution, but I commend you and wish you well, and, we'll do everything we can to help.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
The years I've gone to League of Kansas Municipalities meetings, I've always stepped into the conferences or little breakouts they have of downtown revitalization. And there's a lot of towns that do that, but it's been a while, but there's grants from the state. You probably know about that, John, that people can get. And I've seen a lot of small towns have old buildings that they've revitalized. And it's something that I don't see too many people in Arc City doing because they don't have the money. So I'd like to, there's only so much that the city can do on helping people out, because I myself don't want tax money to go in to help somebody else. But the state is the thing.
I know there's some towns, that's college towns where they work together for downtown, where the college and, and the merchants work together to do some of that housing stuff, where it's a lot cheaper to, fix up apartments than it is build, dorms and stuff. So there's.
Go ahead.
Address again. I've got a good memory. It's just really short. I had one other comment and Mr. Seibert kind of alluded to it. One of the other struggles that we have as a community is trades. We don't have a lot of plumbers, a lot of electricians, contractors, a lot of drywall people, painters. Most of the people that are doing work in this area are coming from outside our city.
Yeah.
And, I've had a couple of different conversations with people at the college over the last several years. The college used to have.
They used to build houses, yeah.
Construction program where, they built a house once a year and sold it. And it gave them an opportunity to train people and then helped provide, housing for people in the community. They'd sell the house, build another one. I know they eliminated that program years ago because of cost. But, that's something that the city really needs to take a look at as well. And I'm not talking about, when I say the city, I'm not saying the city commission. But there is a shortage of trades people in this community. And even if you wanted to build, 300 new homes, where are you going to find the laborers to do it? And that's going to be.
They'll have to be brought in from outside.
Yeah, that is a problem. So, thanks. And I do know, Jim Molly speak here. So I do know that in City Manager Randy Frazier did say this at one point, when he and I are talking, if you can get this revitalization, and if there's another program and there's another program, you start adding a few of these things up, some of these things can start happening maybe quicker or more quickly and speed these processes and help those who want to do it get those things done. And so I think that's not only are we looking at just doing what we can do, but also looking at what other programs or avenues are there to help those willing to take the chance or those willing to develop something, make it happen. So, and I know Jim has something, but go ahead, Mr. Jennings.
Mayor, request 2 minutes.
I'll start the time. Go ahead.
I want to come and propose to you this innovative idea. Never ever been tried before, but if you guys would be interested in it, we could explore it. It's a wheel. Makes things happen a little easier. Instead of the block thing to make it, okay, functionally. One of the comments that was mentioned was about the addition or the use of the manufactured housing neighborhoods to repurpose. Year 2000, a delegation of Arkansas Cityans went to Diamond, Oklahoma, where the Seaboard plant was there and exploding in terms of its employment staffing. And that was one of their housing relief strategies that they used. Might be worth a little bit of research or even a field trip to go and see what does that area look like now, 20 years later. That might give you some idea of how viable that is, whether that's what you'd want to invest in or not. Why, if it worked, then we have a case study. If it didn't work, we also have a case study. The other thing that we have going on here is this collaboration, the potential collaboration between both city in properties that they may have acquired through
Land bank and others. Yeah.
yes, the land bank, as well as your realtors who sometimes are retained to sell undeveloped lands where properties have been taken down, and talking about the mystery that is the neighborhood revitalization. What if there was a collaboration, a little discussion, and there was an agreement on all of these undeveloped properties, whether it's city-owned or private-owned, with real estate agents? If you just added a little clip on the sign that says, have you heard about neighborhood revitalization? And all of a sudden, it's a topic of conversation in the community. Just a little bit of collaboration, I think, all of a sudden, instead of doing some creating some campaign, you just got the property out there right now, undeveloped, and maybe that's the best way to start a dialogue in the community about it. Thank you. You'll be listening to my time, Mr.
You're good. Thanks, Mr. Jennings.
Little Cali County, so 1112514 directly.
What?
Linfield.
Would you stop?
111.
Stop to
That's why I think rural Cali County, but I still love it. I guess kind of same thing, didn't really, have a whole lot planned, but mostly just want to just commend the city for the process you guys are doing. Because I've now attended a couple of different, so this information gathering and the housing issue is huge. As Jim was stating, the jobs we have, tomorrow is our job fair here at the Ag Building, just have to come down and see. I mean, we have record number, we added we have 149 jobs listed, and that's just one job listing. So we do have hundreds. And I guess probably clarification, Creekstown, they have to hire so many to make up for those that they lose. So that's been part of our ongoing conversation with them, is if we can get them a place to live, make them part of the community, that's going to help address their attrition as well. So working with them on housing, childcare, workforce, all of these things just kind of keep going hand in hand. One thing, I guess, working with Cali College, so on their construction trades, so they're hopefully come fall, we will have construction trades back. So
That's wonderful.
that
Yeah.
work plan has been submitted.
That's going to be huge.
That's going to be so huge, and working in partnership with Skyline and kind of getting their things going too. So I just wanted to make sure and just state that this is a great process. There are new programs, the new RHID that I'm sure we're going to be looking at for the downtown, how that's expanding. I haven't heard legislative updates in a couple of days, but if we get added to ROS, the rural opportunity zones, how we can use that to help promote and really just start promoting. But we want to do both at the same time. We need to have places to put them. So we still just need to get more people too, because with the jobs to keep our companies, we kind of need to just be doing this, and definitely collaborative, working together. So all kinds of things out there, getting plugged into the statewide housing assessment that they're doing. So trying to definitely keep plugged in with that group, what they're doing, and get as many opportunities for presenting what Cali County has as housing as well, so the state knows where to hear. So, but that's all I just wanted to throw out there real quick. Happy to help, definitely enjoy being a partner on it and keep working.
Hey, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie.
And maybe John knows too. So I participated in the Kansas housing assessment the other day. They were talking about them through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They have a manufactured housing program with some. Do you guys know any much about that? Because that may be something that we can tie into with our.
You'll find that a lot of commercial banks don't lend on manufactured housing.
Right.
This was a newer program that came out to help people. It had to be on foundations. There's a lot of specifications on it, but
Yeah.
okay.
You know, it just, they don't tend to last as long as, I'm gonna call a stick-built home. And so a lot of banks will not finance those type of properties.
That's the problem a lot of
ones that do, but there are a lot that don't.
It's a conversation that so many communities are having the same thing. They need something. But of course, Skyline, they're so far.
And that's the lady that was talking about this was part of the manufacturing housing association. But it was the topic was using it as infill housing and because it would go on foundations, there's different specifications than what they've had in the past. But anyway, okay. It's like they had a low interest rate on it and like a 3% guaranteed rate or something.
And that's through Fannie Mae?
Through and Freddie Mac both have two different programs, yeah.
That's
Like it's pretty new, like it hasn't really been used yet because of
Had more.
just kind of getting fired up, so.
Okay.
Thanks, Carrie. Yes, Jim. Thank you, Gary.
That's new government program, isn't it?
The statement's made,
So,
and John Stewart has been my banker for years with 3 different banks. I don't remember, but I still with one bank. I don't know how that worked. Regardless, I think one of the things that's come out tonight, that I'd like to see come out of this, is we put together a brainstorming session. Instead of being under the constraints of being a public meeting, some people don't like to speak at public meetings, some people don't want to be quoted or misquoted in a paper or some other media. But out of this, we set up a brainstorming session, maybe get one commissioner. And I know there's a lot of things you guys get the opportunity to do, but if we get one commissioner, one person off the city staff that knows some of the things the city is doing, and Randy, I'm looking at you, but not expecting you to fill that position, but so that we're not all against the same ideas that you've had and I don't know it and somebody else doesn't know it. A banker or two would be excellent and would bring up some of the ideas. We're talking financing. My whole point in this is the urgency. 2 to 3 years, I expect to either fulfill the needs of our city housing or lose the opportunity because of interest rates, higher costs, and other problems in the community. You've got a 2 or 3 year window. I don't want to see it prolonged. And that's been my main reason for coming up here tonight. We did not touch on the other point or two that I'd like to. It's mentioned in here, the people out on the streets. I'm sorry, I'm not using the right term. But low-income housing has always been a problem in our city. We filled it with Delphi Heights was the first project that, and I happened to be involved in that back in the 70s. Now Westwood Villa. And we've created some other low-income by the one on 6th Street had a required number of low-income people be there. So we're constantly fighting it, but we're not keeping up with the low-income people. We need more housing for low-income people. It's affordable housing for those people. And the threshold for low-income people is much higher than it was 20 years ago. So you're talking about people that are making $15,000, $20,000 a year qualify for low-income housing. That used to be my income. So it's really funny. But my point is, we can only touch on a few of the ideas. We're readdressing the ideas. We're stepping on each other's toes with I had that idea first or whatever. I think a brainstorming session would be something the mayor could set up, pick people that you want to pick, get 12 or 15 people. Invite me pick the people. No, I'm just saying. We'll meet at Rick's back room and just throw out ideas, because out of an idea comes a project, so if it's worthwhile. Thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Any more? Do I need to close the public hearing? I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, I think we're up to city manager updates.
Well, Carrie pretty much filled you in on everything. So there's the
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Cali County Job Fair is 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Tomorrow over at the Agribusiness Building. So if you're looking for a job or know someone that is, send them that way. The Cali Indoor Market, we'll have a Cinco de Mayo event from 5 to 8 on Wednesday, the 5th at the Burford. And Hafalala will be this weekend, May 8th. It'll be in the 100 blocks of North and South Summit from 10:30 to 2:30. So there'll be food vendors, entertainment, and Sunset Center concert at the Burford at 8 p.m. Rise Cali Steering Committee meeting will be 10 a.m. on May 11th at the Cali County Courthouse. Cali County Legislative Committee meeting will be Tuesday at noon, Tuesday, May 11th at the Winfield Chamber of Commerce. Next City Commission study session will be May 14th here at City Hall. And the Arkansas City Fire, EMS, and Police Departments will have Pop in the Park from 5:30 to 7 on May 15th at Wilson Park. So,
Thank you. Saying nothing else or no other comments, Mike, Josh, you guys have anything? Nope. I will entertain a motion, Derek.
I so move, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.